You know how when you get an Amber Alert, you just ignore it? Well, one time, I got an Amber Alert for a stolen orange Honda in the city I was in. And when I read this notification, I was just sitting in my car in a random parking lot. But then all of a sudden, I look up from my phone, and what do I see? An orange Honda. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I just found the person they set an Amber Alert out for. I'm about to get a key to the city for solving this crime. But no one was in the car, so my plan was to sit and wait until I saw someone get into it and then confront them. Now that I think about it, that was a dumb plan, but that's all I had. So after a couple minutes of waiting, I saw a young woman get into the car. I'm thinking, I definitely didn't expect the car burglar to be a young lady, but I don't stereotype criminals, so I go up to her and I say, excuse me, is this your car? And she's just like, yeah. I'm thinking, this girl's good. She's trying to act all casual to make me think she's innocent, but you can't fool me. So I go, I know you stole this car. And she just laughs. So I say, I'm not joking. I have the Amber Alert right here. And I show it to her, but then she laughs even more. So I say, why are you laughing? And she goes, look at the license plate on the Amber Alert. So I did, and then I looked at her license plate, and it was completely different. So apparently, I just accused a random young lady of stealing a car, and I had to apologize and do the walk of shame back to my vehicle. What was I thinking? I don't solve crimes, I'm not Batman, but it's not my fault. Have you ever seen an orange Honda before? I haven't, and now all of a sudden, there's two in the same city? How does that happen? I mean, I hope they found the person who actually stole the vehicle though, because I definitely didn't. Do not make eye contact with people during a conversation, because I just had a conversation with someone and I'm normally really bad at keeping eye contact, so I've been trying to get better at it. But during this conversation, I concentrated so hard on making eye contact with them that I completely forgot to listen to anything they said. So I looked super engaged because I was staring through their soul, but I didn't comprehend a word. But this was a big mistake because when the conversation was over, they said, so what do you think I should do? I said, about what? And they said, what I just told you about. So I had to admit to them that I didn't hear a word they said the whole time. So it's just not worth it to make eye contact. I can't focus on two things at once. And this is probably what I looked like anyway. Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's not many things in life that can embarrass me, except for the one time when I was in a public bathroom and I had to go number 2 really bad, but I was constipated. So I went to the biggest stall I could find because I knew I was gonna be in there for a while, so I wanted to be really comfortable. But as I'm in the stall using this toilet, I hear someone shake on the door and I say, occupied. But I could hear them breathing, so I know they were still standing right next to the door. So I look under the stall to see their feet. And what do I see? A wheelchair. Right in that moment, it hit me. I was in the only handicap stall in the bathroom, and this guy had to wait until I wasn't constipated anymore to use it. I didn't know what to do because I knew I wouldn't be done for at least 30 minutes, but I couldn't make this guy in a wheelchair wait that long. So even though I wasn't done, I wiped, clenched my cheeks, opened the door, and then walked like this to the stall next to me. But the guy in the wheelchair made eye contact with me when I opened the door, and he just looked so disappointed in me. I'm sorry, bro. I can't think logically when I'm constipated. It won't happen again, I promise. This is your warning to never eat in front of a vegan. Because I knew this girl who was super vegan. Like anytime she ever saw me eating meat, she would be like, you shouldn't eat that. But then the other day, I see her eating mozzarella sticks. So I give her a confused look, and she's like, why are you looking at me? And I say, do you know what you're eating? And she goes, yeah, mozzarella sticks. So I go, okay, but aren't you not allowed to eat that? And she says, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you're eating cheese. And she goes, what? This doesn't have cheese in it. And I say, yes, it does. It's literally in the name, mozzarella stick. And she goes, wait, are you serious? I didn't know mozzarella was cheese. I just thought it was the name of the person who created it. So she started freaking out and she threw away the rest of her mozzarella sticks, which kind of made me sad because they looked really good. But I'm just glad because now if she ever tries to get mad at me again for eating meat, I'm just gonna respond by saying, girl, I know the mozzarella enthusiast ain't talking. How can people be in relationships with big age differences? Like, what do you even talk about? Because the other day, I was at dinner and there was a couple at the table next to me and the man was probably about 65 years old while the girl was like 25. So I wanted to be nosy and listen to their conversations to see what they talk about, but I couldn't because they literally did not talk. And when they did talk, it was just the man saying something like, my bladder's so weak these days. Like, you know that girl don't want to talk about that, and she definitely can't relate to it. She's fresh out of college. She'd probably rather talk about what Taylor Swift wore to the Met Gala or something. And people might say, oh, well, how do you know that was his girlfriend and not his daughter? Well, I saw them kiss each other. So I really hope it wasn't his daughter. But while I saw them doing that, they both looked so uncomfortable. And I'm not judging anyone that has a big age gap. I just genuinely don't understand how you do it.
Have you ever met a guy that's a little too close with his mom? Because I had this one friend and I used to think his mom was pretty normal until the day he got his first girlfriend. Because he brought her over to his house to introduce her to his mom, and he brought me too because he was worried it would be awkward. And it was. Because when we got there, we walked through the front door and his mom comes around the corner super quickly saying, hi. But then she saw the girl and her smile immediately went away. It was like this, hi. So at first, I was just thinking the mom didn't like something about the girl's appearance, but I quickly realized that it was much more than that. Because when this girl got even remotely close to my friend, his mom started acting like an offensive lineman the way she was protecting him. Like he said a joke and the girl started laughing, so the mom immediately ran right in between them just to get her hand off of his shoulder. So the girl ended up leaving, and my friend could tell that his mom was acting weird too, so he just straight up asked her. He said, "Mom, why were you acting so weird?" And she was like, "I wasn't acting weird. I just don't want her taking my son away from me." Dog, you sound like the mom from the movie Waterboy. Let the man live. There was a rumor about this kid I grew up with that he would make out with his sister, but no one knew for sure. So everyone would say jokes about it to his face. And one day, he got so upset at the jokes that he decided to fight back. So when one kid said, "Hey Johnny, do you make out with your sister?" he said, "The only reason you don't kiss your sister is because yours is ugly." And everyone went silent. And it was funny because he started to cry, and then the kid who bullied him also was crying. You can always tell when someone is an only child because they do not act like everyone else. Because you have to remember that since they didn't have any siblings, they don't have the same trust issues that everyone else has. If you ask someone who's an only child to close their eyes and open their mouth, they'll probably do it, no question. Meanwhile, you couldn't pay me to do that because I remember my brother shoving wasabi in my mouth after he tricked me. But another thing about people who are only childs is they just leave without saying anything. Like if you're hanging out with a group of friends and one of them happens to be an only child, there is a 99% chance that you won't even see them leave. Did they get captured by aliens? Did they get lost in the woods? No one knows because they don't say goodbye. Only children never share the ox. Anything that's theirs, they don't want to share because they didn't have to growing up. This doesn't seem like too big of an issue until your only child friend is playing JoJo Siwa on ox and you start losing your mind. I love people who are only childs though. They're way less needy than everyone else. Can you tell I wasn't one?
Does anyone else's mom just tell random people your darkest secrets for no reason? Because I love my mom, but I don't tell her secrets anymore because the moment I do, I know that she'll go down Hollywood Boulevard with a megaphone and tell everyone else. And it's not like she's trying to be mean. I think all moms just naturally do this. But it gets even worse because not only will she tell other people my secrets, but she'll slightly change the story to make it sound more embarrassing. Like one time I was at dinner with my mom and her friend has a 2-year-old boy. So she kept complaining about how her son is always wetting the bed. And you wanna know what my mom said back? She says, "Oh, that's normal. Tyler wet the bed until he was 14. First of all, that's not true. I stopped wetting the bed when I was like a lot younger. But one night when I was 14, I drank too much water before bed and I ended up wetting the bed that night. But second of all, why would you tell them that? She wasn't even asking about me. You initiated that. Like, I get that you want to relate to her, but at what cost? And if you're gonna tell everyone my business, the least you could do is not make it sound worse than it is. I can't even blame her though because she doesn't do it on purpose. I'm just tired of her accidentally cooking me.
My friend passed away the other day and his mom texted me saying, "Hey, could you send some pictures of you with him?" Because she wanted to have pictures of him with all of his friends shown at his funeral. So I was like, yeah, of course. So I started scrolling through my phone and it was at that moment where I realized me and my friend in our 13 years of friendship have never taken a picture together. We were good friends too. One time a raccoon was chasing me and he grabbed it and threw it like a frisbee to save me. I guess it's just true what they say about guy friends not taking pictures with each other. And don't get mad at me for laughing, okay? Because even his mom thought this was funny.
To everyone who keeps commenting for me to oil up, my family follows me on here, but they don't understand social media at all. So what do you think their reaction is when they go in my comment section and see 500 comments saying, oil up, oil up, oil up? The past 3 nights at dinner, I've had to explain to them what that means. So please stop commenting it. I can't do this anymore. I don't know much about women, but the one thing I do know is that they will always appreciate the little things the most. Because my friend that was a girl started dating this guy whose family was super wealthy. So he took her to Greece, Japan, Italy. But the thing that made her way more emotional than any of those trips was when he surprised her by bringing her a coffee from her favorite coffee shop. And she literally cried, but the reason for that was because he remembered her order without her having to even tell him. And remember, he's taking her to Italy. She ain't cry for that. All she did there was take some pics for the gram. But he gets her a grande coffee and remembers to put 2 pumps of vanilla in it and a splash of almond milk, and all of a sudden, she's sobbing. This is very inspiring though, because I'm not balling enough to take a girl on a trip to Italy, but I can buy her a coffee. Wish I could go to Italy. Have you ever done something insane because you had a crush on someone? Because there was a girl that used to be obsessed with me. And I'm not saying that to brag, because this is not the type of girl you want to be obsessed with you. But this girl happened to be really interested in psychology, so she tried to manipulate me psychologically to make me like her. It was like a superpower she had. Like when we were in school, she would wear such a strong perfume that you could smell it whenever she walked into the room. And her plan was to spray the same perfume in my backpack so that when I would get home from school and I would open my backpack to do my homework, my whole house would start to smell like her. And apparently she thought this would make me think about her when I was at home. And then eventually, her smell would make me think of being back at home. And she thought that this would make me like her somehow. How do I know this was her plan? Well, one of the days that she tried spraying the perfume in my backpack, I caught her doing it. So I confronted her about it and asked what she was doing. And she explained it all to me. But the scariest part was that she didn't think what she was doing was crazy. Like, she wasn't embarrassed at all. She was smiling when she was telling me her plan. I could tell that she thought I would be impressed with what she was saying instead of thinking that it's psychotic. And don't get me wrong, I was impressed. I respect the dedication, honestly, because I've been delusional about someone like that before too. But she also terrified me. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she put a hidden camera in my house and was listening to me right now. Gen Z ruined my relationship with my parents because the other day I was leaving for a trip, so I wasn't going to see my mom for a couple days. And I gave her a hug and I said, "I love you, mommy." But I felt so gross after saying that word because of how Gen Z has changed the meaning of it. It's not a sweet way of saying mother anymore. No, it means some freaky stuff. But I don't even know if my mom is aware of the new meaning. So after I said that, I was just like, oh my gosh, I hope she didn't take that in the wrong way. But it's not just the word mommy. You can't say daddy either. What am I supposed to call my parents at this point? Should I just start going up to them and be like, "What's up, gang?" Like, any other words that mean mom or dad have been ruined. I was in public when I said this too, and I could feel people giving me weird looks after saying it. Y'all act like you didn't call your mom mommy when you were a little kid. There should be nothing wrong with that word. Stop changing the meaning. Have you ever done something insane because you had a crush on someone? Because there was a girl that used to be obsessed with me. And I'm not saying that to brag, because this is not the type of girl you want to be obsessed with you. But this girl happened to be really interested in psychology, so she tried to manipulate me psychologically to make me like her. It was like a superpower she had. Like, when we were in school, she would wear such a strong perfume that you could smell it whenever she walked into the room. And her plan was to spray the same perfume in my backpack so that when I would get home from school and I would open my backpack to do my homework, my whole house would start to smell like her. And apparently she thought this would make me think about her when I was at home. And then eventually, her smell would make me think of being back at home. And she thought that this would make me like her somehow. How do I know this was her plan? Well, one of the days that she tried spraying the perfume in my backpack, I caught her doing it. So I confronted her about it and asked what she was doing. And she explained it all to me. But the scariest part was that she didn't think what she was doing was crazy. Like, she wasn't embarrassed at all. She was smiling when she was telling me her plan. I could tell that she thought I would be impressed with what she was saying instead of thinking that it's psychotic. And don't get me wrong, I was impressed. I respect the dedication, honestly, because I've been delusional about someone like that before too. But she also terrified me. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she put a hidden camera in my house and was listening to me right now. I was just in a hot tub with two deaf people, and it got so weird because they would look at me and then do sign language to each other and laugh. So I knew they were either judging me or making fun of me. And listen, I don't discriminate. If you want to talk trash, I'll talk trash. So my first idea was to cover both of their eyes so they couldn't communicate anymore, but that was kind of too far. So I did this motion back to them because I thought that meant like F you or screw you. But then they laughed even more. So I looked it up, and apparently this is calling someone cute in sign language. They were not cute. They were mean. So if anyone knows how to talk trash in sign language, please tell me because I need to fight back next time.